Have you ever woken up with this weird heaviness in your stomach and you just can't figure out why? You feel bloated, maybe a bit constipated, and there's this annoying ache in your lower back. Does any of that sound familiar?
So you do the responsible thing. You go to the doctor, you run all the tests, ultrasounds, blood work, the whole shebang. But every single report comes back looking totally fine.
And they tell you, oh, it's probably just stress, or maybe it was something you ate. You get some antacids, maybe a painkiller, and yeah, you get a little temporary relief, but then it all comes flooding back. The digestive problems, the pain, and that just constant nagging fatigue. It is so frustrating, and trust me, you are not alone.
But what if the answer wasn't in a pill? What if the real source of all these seemingly random issues could be traced back to one single point, a kind of central hub in your body that's just slightly out of alignment? Today, we're going to dive into this ancient mystery that modern science is finally beginning to understand.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We'll start by really looking at this unsolved ailment. Then we're going to uncover the ancient secrets about the body's center. We'll connect that to what science calls the second brain. Then, the fun part, we'll see if your center is displaced, look at how to get it back into balance, and wrap up with how to make that change last. So first up, let's get really clear on the problem. Your body is actually sending out some pretty clear signals when its center is off kilter. The trick is just learning to listen to them. The biggest giveaway is usually a totally chaotic digestive system. I'm talking about swinging from one extreme to the other, like severe constipation one day, sudden diarrhea the next. You might lose your appetite completely and just feel heavy and bloated after every meal. But this imbalance can also radiate outward, causing this dull, constant ache in your lower back, your thighs, even your calves. For women, it can totally mess with menstrual cycles, making them irregular and painful. And sort of humming underneath all of that is this feeling of exhaustion and irritability that you just can't pin on anything. Now, this is not some new age idea, not at all. For literally thousands of years, great civilizations all over the world knew that the navel was the absolute core of our physical and, well, our energetic being.
From ancient India to Japan, China, and even ancient Greece, the navel wasn't just seen as a scar from birth. No, it was revered as the very epicenter of our life force and our vitality.
And this is what's so cool. Look at how universal this idea is. In Ayurveda, it's called the Nabi Marma, the starting point for 72,000 energy channels. In Japan, it's the Hara, the center of life force that's absolutely critical for martial artists. In Chinese medicine, it's the Dantian, the ocean of our vital energy, or qi. And even the ancient Greeks had the omphalos stone, which they literally called the navel of the world. It's like this shared piece of ancient human wisdom.
Okay, so what does modern science have to say about all this? Well, it turns out our ancestors were incredibly spot on. Science has now found something pretty remarkable, right where all these ancient traditions said our energy center was.
I want you to meet the enteric nervous system, or the ENS. It is this huge, sprawling network of neurons. It's so extensive that scientists have nicknamed it the second brain. And guess where it's located? Right behind the navel. And this isn't some isolated system either. It's in constant communication with our main brain through this massive information highway called the vagus nerve. And check this out. This one fact just perfectly shows the power of this second brain. A staggering 90% of your body's serotonin, that's the hormone that literally controls your happiness and mood, is made right here in your gut. This is exactly why when your gut feels off, your mood so often takes a nosedive too. So it all starts to make sense, right? When the navel gets physically knocked out of place, it puts direct pressure on this entire neural network. It messes up the natural rhythm of the intestines, which leads to all that digestive chaos we talked about. And it interferes with serotonin production, which explains the anxiety, the irritability, and that fatigue that comes out of nowhere. Ancient wisdom and modern science are telling the exact same story. So, the million-dollar question is, how do you know if your own center is out of whack?
Let's switch gears from theory to practice. Here are a couple of really simple, time-tested ways you can check for yourself.
But first, what even causes this? Honestly, it's usually everyday stuff. Lifting something heavy the wrong way, a sudden trip or fall, even a big jolt from a bumpy car ride can do it. And then there are the habits, like always sleeping on one side or just jumping straight out of bed too quickly. For women, the huge physical changes that happen during and after pregnancy are a super common cause too.
Okay, here's the first test. You can literally try this tomorrow morning. So first thing, before you eat or drink anything, lie flat on your back and just relax. Next, take your index, middle, and ring fingers and put them together right on your navel. Then just apply some gentle pressure. If your center is aligned, you should feel a really clear, rhythmic pulse. It feels a lot like a heartbeat directly underneath your fingers. If that pulse feels like it's off to the side, up, down, left, or right, or if you can't really feel it at all, that's a huge sign that your navel might be displaced.
Now, for a measurement that's even more concrete, you can try the string test. So, while you're lying flat, hold one end of a piece of string right at the center of your navel. Stretch the other end down to the very tip of your left big toe and just pinch the string there. Now, keeping that first end on your navel, just swing that measured length over to your right big toe. If the distances don't match up, if one leg suddenly seems longer than the other, that confirms there's an imbalance.
Okay, so we've identified the problem, we know how to test for it, let's talk about solutions. And the good news is, you probably don't need expensive medicines or some kind of surgery. The body has this amazing ability to heal itself. We just have to give it a little nudge in the right direction. So the first and most gentle method is navel oiling. Just lie on your back with your knees bent, which helps relax your stomach muscles. Pour just a little bit of lukewarm mustard or sesame oil into your navel. Then, using the flat of your palm, very gently massage in a circular, clockwise motion around the navel for about 10 or 15 minutes. This warmth and gentle massage is so good for calming the nerves and releasing muscle tension. And often, that's enough to allow the navel to naturally just slide back into its proper place.
Yoga also has some incredibly effective tools for this. The wind-relieving pose, or Pavanmuktasana, works directly on that abdominal area. Boat pose, or Naukasana, is amazing for building the deep core strength you need to hold your center in place for the long haul. And Cobra pose, or Bhujangasana, boosts circulation to the whole region, which promotes healing and flexibility.
Now, there are more powerful traditional methods out there, but they require extreme caution. One of these involves creating a vacuum over the navel using a small flame and a glass. Look, it can give you an immediate correction, but this is absolutely not something to try at home on your own. It has to be done with an experienced practitioner, and it is definitely not safe for pregnant women or young children. So, getting your navel back in place is step one. But the real challenge, and really the key to long-term health, is keeping it there. And this all comes down to weaving small, mindful changes into your daily life.
These habits are so simple, but they are so powerful. Anytime you lift something heavy, bend your knees. Lift with the power of your legs. Don't strain your back. When you get out of bed in the morning, please never sit straight up from a flat position. Always roll onto your side first, then push yourself up. And finally, eat a diet that's rich in fiber so you don't have to strain during bowel movements, because that internal pressure can cause displacement too.
And that really just brings us to the core message of this whole thing, doesn't it? Real health isn't something you're going to find in a bottle or a prescription. It's an internal balance that you actually have the power to restore and maintain. Our bodies have this deep, innate wisdom, and the center, the navel, is the key to unlocking it. So you now have the knowledge that our ancestors held dear for millennia, and it's being backed up by modern science. The first step is so simple. Just make a commitment to check your own navel tomorrow morning. It's a tiny act of self-awareness that could honestly be the beginning of the end of years of discomfort. So are you ready to finally listen to your body and find your center?